Addiction is typically a taboo subject to discuss in detail, but as we're about to find out, the issue is a very real one in Michigan's Keweenaw Peninsula. I'm Sarah Blakely, morning news co-anchor at TV6 News. Over the next 13 episodes of the Portage Health Foundation's Addiction series, we'll talk about what addiction is, how it happens, and the effects that it has on a person, their family and friends, and the community as a whole. We'll also talk about what's already being done to address the issue and offer solutions for people who are struggling or know someone who is. We'll also help you better understand what you can do to help. In this first episode, we'll hear from the Executive Director of the Portage Health Foundation, Kevin Storr, and the Chairperson for the Foundation, Bernadette Yeoman-Ouellette. We'll also hear from Rebecca Crane, the Executive Director at Dial Help, who will tell us how this problem has evolved over the last decade.
Employers, manufacturing companies that are trying to hire employees. I had one that I spoke with that, he said it takes 6 or 7 employees for every hire to pass a drug test in our community. The financial implications that addiction has on our community is actually quite overwhelming when you consider, the access to healthcare, the court systems, law enforcement, the burden that it places, the financial burden that it places on our nonprofit community to try to serve our mental health community. Virtually all aspects of our community are impacted by this. And, I think it's important for people to recognize that this isn't somebody else's problem. This isn't another community's problem. It's not, a downstate problem or somewhere else in our country's problem. This is a problem that's affecting us right here. And it's not that, oh, that's not my kid syndrome, because maybe it isn't their child, but it might be your child's best friend, or it might be your neighbor. And I think that's an important piece to recognize, that the folks here need to recognize in this community that we have a real issue, and it is impacting their lives, whether or not they recognize it. It's impacting virtually all aspects of our community.
I think people have to understand that addiction now kills more people than auto accidents and gun homicides combined in this country. I think being in a rural situation, we're not immune to the problem. Per capita, we have higher rates of addiction than urban areas. So we can't hide behind this issue anymore. We have to face it, we have to confront it, we have to work together as a community to address it. And until we do that, it's only going to continue to expand in our community and take much more of a toll on our community, both economically and that human toll that I mentioned.
In 2017, the calendar year, we had over 1,500 calls just related to substance abuse or alcohol. For us, that's about 25% of our call volume. In terms of mental health, it's 45%. And again, there might be some overlaps where those issues didn't independently come up, but we know that they're tied together. And unfortunately, too, with those two issues, I know I'm elaborating, but our percentage for suicide calls rose again this year, and now it's at like 13%. When I started, it was around 2 to 3%. The problem we know is only getting deeper. And, it's disheartening when you have 5 overdoses and 3 of them resulted in death, and they're all in their early 20s. And recently we've seen where young children are dying because their parents are addicted and not trying to harm their children, but not able to care for them, and some really significant tragedies. I think really the community has to come together, and not just service provider agencies. I think everybody needs to have a more of a role together. Otherwise, I feel like it's only going to escalate over time, and those tragedies and suffering and misery are only going to start piling up more and more.
Thank you to Kevin, Bernadette, and Rebecca for sharing your experiences on this issue. We hope you found the first of 13 episodes of the Portage Health Foundation's Addiction series to be enlightening. This series is available as a video and audio series on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, IGTV, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for Portage Health Foundation. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, know that there are resources available in our community. Dial Help is a great place to start. They have a crisis line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, based right here in the Copper Country. Just dial 906-482-HELP, text 90635-NEEDS, or chat live with someone at dialhelp.org. If you're in any kind of medical emergency, dial 911 immediately. To learn more about the resources available in our community or to subscribe for email alerts for future episodes, just visit phfgive.org/addiction.